Well, greetings, YouTube model people. How's it going? Okay. Well, coming at you here with a basically the Q&A um, episode for the model contest judging series I've been doing. So again, this was in the last video I had asked anyone who wanted to put some questions out there or put some comments and things to do so in the last video, and that we would cover the Q&A in another separate video. So that's what this is. And again, just to remind everyone, I completely, the authoritative source for all of the information that I have is from the IPMS organization. And of course, all my experiences with judging scale models is with the IPMS 1, 2, 3, first, second, third place style judging. Okay, so that's all this is based on that. So with that being said, we got the questions up here on the screen. Sorry, I got to kind of look off to the side here. But we have 4 questions and we're going to get right into it. So, all right, first question is bad judging. That would be something good to hear about. And I'm not going to mention who the YouTube channel names or people's names are because I didn't ask if I could, and I don't want to do that. So again, bad judging. Be good to hear about something like that. Okay, so is there bad judging? Yeah, occasionally there is bad judging. Are there bad judges? Yes, occasionally there are bad judges. Does it make up the majority? Not even close. It's a very small number of issues I've seen over the years. Again, I think I have approximately 45 contests that I've judged, again, local, regional, and nationals. And so I'll point out a couple things with an individual judge, 2 separate issues with this one particular person. I feel kind of confident talking about it because I'm not the only one who shares an opinion about this particular person. Really, my personal opinion, they shouldn't be judging at these model contests. But anyway, so here's basically what that person did on 2 occasions. One occasion was, and basically this is a tough one because as you know, you get put into judges' teams. So usually it's 3 people, sometimes it's 5, but at the local show where I was with this particular judge, it was a team of 3. And the first order of business is to kind of look over the category that you're working on, and everybody individually take a look at all the entries there, and then kind of get an idea, the good, the bad, the in-between. And then after each of you get a chance to do that, then to talk together, tell each other, what did you see, all that kind of stuff, and kind of have a discussion and come to a consensus about what may qualify to go into the next heat, so to speak, if need be. So this person would basically take a look at the models on the table and then not participate at all with any kind of discussion. It'd be, okay, I got my decision, and not talk about, well, why would you, or what would you, and all that stuff. So that's not really the point of the judging. The point of the judging is to work as a team and to go back and forth and push and pull stuff from each other. People see stuff you didn't see, you see stuff they didn't see, so forth and so on. Okay, so that's one item. The second item is very odd. This was at a different show that he was at. Again, looking at one of the car modeling categories, he went along, and if the front engine cover or hood of the car could be raised, he raised them all. If they could be comfortably, without breaking, taking them off, he took them off and laid them on the table in front of the model for every car that was in the category. And there was quite a few, actually. It was a regional show. No idea why he would have done that. That doesn't make any sense. He shouldn't have touched the models like that. He did it before the judges actually went out to the table area to start judging, right after the meeting, before we got out to the area. So I'm not sure why he did that. So that was, yeah, he's kind of a bad apple. Another kind of behavior is judges who kind of seem to rush through the process, and you don't need to spend hours laboring over things. That's not the point either. But I've been involved with a couple of judges where one was at nationals, IPMS nationals, where they were kind of rushing along to get through the judging. So that's, to me personally, that's not a very good trait to have as a judge. So those are a couple things, but again, very far and few between that you'll see these kinds of things. So Next question will be, do you think that internationally judges will be looking in the same way, looking for the same failing points and so on and so forth? So I've only judged in the United States. It is on my bucket list to eventually go to the Telford, England show. And, I hope I could judge, but I don't know if they would let me judge that show. But I have to think, basically, I mean, there's only so many things you can judge on a scale model, right? You have fit, you have finish, you have decals, you have detail and custom work, all these kinds of things. I mean, really, there's only so much you can kind of judge. So my feeling would be that most of the time, regardless of what system you're using, you're going to be looking at similar things, right? And pretty much I think that's fairly universal. Whether you're in England or whether you're in Ireland or whether you're in Asia, anywhere, Japan or the United States, Canada, whatever, anywhere. So that's my personal thoughts on that one. Next question is, only question I had was, you made the statement about if it's visible, we will judge it. For instance, if one of the trunks is open and they did a bunch of detail and accessory work in it, and they may have a small paint or glue spot somewhere, would you consider a bonus points for open and detail, or just dock the points for the issues of the paint and glue spot? So basically, would they have been better off just to hide the error than to open up the trunk and show the details? So again, usually how this works is if you're at a kind of a deadlock a little bit with two entries, and one of them put more effort in, scope of work is how it's referred to. If they've done that and the other person hasn't, and basically their other errors and concerns are offsetting, then yeah, the person who did a little more work would get a little more credit. Usually, that's how it works. Again, that only comes into play typically when you're kind of locked between two entries, right? So doing extra work and such like that, yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, but you got to do a good job with it, of course. And, if it's a deadlock with something else, it may be enough to push you forward into, maybe an award or being considered for whatever. Okay. So last question. This is, in the actual judging itself, do you take the amount of scratch building involved into consideration when comparing kits? Is any deference given? Also, I'd like to hear more about what factors are actually considered during the initial selection and then later in the whittling down process. Okay, so we've talked about a few of these things in the episodes prior to this video, but in the judging itself, do you take scratch building into consideration when comparing the entries? And yes, we do. Now, here's the key. Whether it's formally judged, people choice, or not judged at all, pretty much every model show contest I've been to, there's always some sort of entry form to write some information down. Your name, the name of the model, maybe a registration number, possibly, these kinds of things. And there's typically an area there you can write information about the model. At the very least, if you did custom work, always make sure you include that in your write-up or your form. Or if you want to attach, many people have done this, attach a piece of paper that outlines everything, or color photos, or whatever you have, material like that. We as judges will look at that information. We absolutely will. Now, if you have a catalog of 15 or 25 pictures and 10 pages of details, we're not going to read every last word of it, okay? But we will take note of it and review it as needed. And we'll definitely, say, well, this looks like a lot of custom work went into this, right? Not a typical box stop type build. So yeah, it is considered. But again, here's the important thing. So let's say you have a model car. Let's say you did all kinds of engine work. You chopped the top. You kind of shortened the chassis. You've done all this work. You put customized wheels and tires on there. That's great. But if it's not done well and clean, it's really, maybe not going to help you that much if you're going against something that's cleaner, right? You're just because extra work is not going to make, immediately push you into the front of the heap, right? So to speak, because it has to be done well, right? And I've seen plenty of both. I've seen plenty of custom work that jaw-droppingly good, and I've seen some custom work that was pretty rough. So anyway, as far as whittling down and the first initial selection and then going further into the process, well, again, the first real whittling down typically happens, as they say, when the judges approach the category. They make sure everything that's there is supposed to be there. We will individually scan the table, look at everything, get an idea of what we see or don't see. And then after that, a few moments of that, we have a little discussion, right, amongst the judges to say, okay, what do you see? What do you think? And all that kind of thing. So that would be your initial cut if need be. Now, what's interesting too is that, these things are not, done in, if there's 3 entries and it's a category that gives third, first, and second place prize, everybody's going to get something. So obviously the whittling down is going to be a little bit less. But if you're in what I would call, typically one of the most busiest or, popular categories is stock, right? It's just factory stock, right? Type builds. So you might have as 25 entries or more easily in that category. So obviously you're whittling down in your rounds of, eliminating and getting to the finer details and finer work that was done could take multiple passes, so to speak, right? So I always carry a couple pens with me, and we'll make little notes on the little entry forms, and we'll say this one goes to the next one, or we'll slide them on the table, the models next to each other. If they're going, we want to get a closer look side by side, that kind of thing, providing we can do it safely. So, it's just a matter of, just getting a little bit more nitpicky with each, if needed, right? Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not. And it's not necessarily the situation where it's all spectacular builds, right? We've had some difficulty with people who are very novice builders. There was a time when we did a small scale category judging, and the one model was actually going for either second place or third place, just because of the amount of entries. But the back windshield was completely missing, but yet they were still in contention, right? So that was a very novice group of builds, but they were judged with just as much seriousness and care as, the guy who has all the great, hand spun metal parts or 3D printed parts and all kinds of extra details. We tried to treat everything and respect them all the same, irregardless of the experience level. So I hope that answers some of the questions. Kind of a ramble, I guess. I'm sorry about that, guys. But yeah, if you have any more questions, certainly comment below. I'll be more than happy to answer those as well. So again, just in a closing thing, because I've seen this, people's comments, again, I didn't show videos of the details that I see with pictures of what's wrong and then what are common things that I see wrong. I didn't do that to scare people away to enter in a show. What I'm trying to tell you is that enter in shows, right? Give it a try. Compete. Give it a try. Have some fun with it. Don't expect to win. That's the best advice I can give you. Even if you built the most amazing model you could possibly build, an amazing kit you've ever seen, don't expect that you're going to win an award. That's the best way to enter a show. Because again, I can't say it enough. You have no idea what's going to show up at the show. Okay? There could be a room full of, absolute master model builders. And, what are you going to do about that? Are you at that level? Maybe you're at that level, but, most of us aren't. So you can't base it on, going into a show that, oh, I built my best model, I should be able to win something. Or, oh, I did a good job, I should be able to win something. That's not how it works, right? Again, go into it with the idea of I want to display my work, share my work, inspire people, show people a kit maybe they've never seen before, or technique, or some kind of, custom work that nobody's ever seen before, potentially. And that's why you enter a show, and to talk about your entries and their entries, and just the collaboration, not the collaboration, but just the community of it, right? So that's it, folks. All right, we'll talk to you in a bit. Cheers.